The movie opens outside Bellwood, where Kevin visits an abandoned warehouse to meet several motorcyclists who are trying to sell what they believe to be extraterrestrial technology. The guys open the case and find tubes full of chips that seem to be inactive, since not even the vendors are aware of what it is. Ben discovers that the item is interfering with the Omnitrix as Kevin chooses to summon Gwen to examine it. The salesperson, fed up with wasting time, remarks that he has never encountered customers quite like them. A lady in a helmet responds that it's because they are plumbers, a clandestine interplanetary security force. She confesses that she is Alena Validus, a former plumber who was expelled along with her father Victor, and Ben inquires as to how she knows this. Ben is shocked by the reconnection, and not thinking that anybody is listening in, tells him that his grandpa informed him that she and his father left the plumbers because they relocated, which Alena instantly refutes. Ben is perplexed as to why she is with the illicit market vendors, but the girl clarifies that she set everything up to speak with them and seek assistance since Victor has vanished from sight. As they converse, the stalker in the beam starts to manipulate the chips, causing them to break free from their capsules and assault everyone within the warehouse by flying out like a swarm of insects. When Ben attempts to use the Omnitrix to turn into an alien to protect himself, he discovers that it is utterly inoperative, putting Kevin and Gwen in charge of eradicating the alien insects. While the insectronics begin destroying the building's beams, the salespeople, caught in the chaos, mount their motorbikes and flee the warehouse. They barely make it out alive. Ben examines the chips within and surmises that some kind of remote-controlled nanotechnology is involved. Soon after, as soon as he sees the stranger in the beam, he tries to utilize the Omnitrix to change into the spider monkey, but the interference causes him to take the shape of Big Chill instead. The alien succeeds in enclosing the chips in a block of ice, which shatters into many fragments and dispatches several insects at once. Ben pursued the guy in charge of everything and attempted to use his breath to freeze him. However, the villain succeeds in leaping off the beam and launches a swarm of flies at Gwen, compelling Big Chill to give up the battle and assist his cousin. The villain now gets the opportunity to go, and when Elena vanishes with him, Gwen and Kevin are certain that she was with the stranger and that everything was a ruse. Ben nonetheless resolves to visit the plumber's headquarters to speak with his grandpa about Victor, since he is intrigued about the circumstances behind the expulsion. The group scans some of the chips they have gathered while waiting for Grandpa Max to get back at the communication center, and learns that they are both technical innovations and living organisms. Gwen attempts to read the gadget's energy signature with her abilities out of curiosity, but this is unsuccessful. While he is at work, Kevin makes the decision to monitor it online. When Ben advises that they pursue Elena, Gwen gets into a heated exchange with him that only stops when Grandpa Max shows up at the lab. The plumber's boss claims that he has seen the gadget they are examining previously, but can't place it with certainty. Ben attempts to inquire about Victor's expulsion, thinking now is the ideal time to do so, but the alarm system interrupts him, signaling that there is an intruder within the complex. The teen finds Elena waiting for them in Max's room after following the energy signature of the intruder. Grandpa Max attempts to eject the girl after asking what she's doing there as soon as he sees her. Ben, who supports the girl, informs him about Victor's absence and how he was probably abducted by the guy in charge of the chips. The girl is still opposed by everyone else, so Kevin escorts her out of the lab while Max is left with his grandkids to explain what is happening. The man displays Victor's information on the computer and explains that he was ejected from the troop and permanently banned since he was discovered taking the alien chips from the safe. Ben counters that Elena has nothing to do with her father's errors and that she is the finest source of information to find the person in charge of the insects. But since Max doesn't think what she says is real, Ben decides to take independent action. He leaves the headquarters and borrows his grandfather's motorbike to pursue the girl by himself. Victor is going down an alley when two thieves approach him, telling him he shouldn't be out alone, and attempt to mug him as they are driving to the location where Elena purchased the chips. The villain responds by revealing his presence and launching a large number of insectronic spacecraft that assault the two, penetrating their bodies and transforming them into zombies. Ben and Elena go to the spot where she discovered the chips and begin investigating, unaware that Victor is there to meet them with his army of infected. However, the bad guy is outside with his infected putting boxes and stashes onto the van of a transport firm named Ship It, while they are inside doing their investigation. Both of them are unaware of what is going on despite the movement, so they keep searching for hints up until they reach Victor's lab, where they discover a number of notes in a Ship It delivery form. The two are taken aback by a bunch of very suspicious individuals who volunteer to aid as they attempt to figure out what is going on. As Ben and Elena watch the strangers, they see something odd in their eyes and conclude that all of these individuals are under the influence of extraterrestrial insects. Elena also sees the chips moving on their necks. Ben is forced to turn on the Omnitrix after one of the infected announces that he wants to take them to see the Queen. However, the young guy is unable to choose any aliens due to the interference, so they are forced to leave. The two discover they are stuck after using the fire exit, and Ben uses the unstable situation to overload the Omnitrix, sending a shockwave that knocks everyone aside and creates an opening for them to escape. As they attempt to escape in a hurry, Alena accidentally falls from the bike, necessitating Ben's return to the scene to save her. He escapes the situation with the girl on his back and advises that they should go to ship it, since it is the only way they would be able to discover what Victor sent. After tracing the energy signatures of the Insectronics to the plumber's headquarters, Kevin and Gwen found that the majority of them are centered at Ship It's distribution center. Together, they assault the location and begin searching for any evidence of the alien beings, discovering records of shipments to various parts of the globe. The two are astonished when a worker informs them that the business is closed and requests that they return at a later time as they are going through the paperwork. Gwen finds it odd that the guy is there so late, so she wonders why he is still employed. The worker tells her that his role is to serve the Queen, which leads them to believe that the stranger is an infected person. Kevin uses the characteristics of the wood to neutralize the danger and then punches the zombie employee, knocking him to the ground so they can grab the paperwork and hurry back to the vehicle. The couple is buckling up in the car when they see the creepy employee is standing close behind them, acting strangely. Gwen notices that the guy is in charge of the chips as they start to take on spherical forms and fly toward the windshield, almost shattering the glass and prompting Kevin to speed to escape in his Challenger. The young guy pulls into super rapidly as three enormous balls made of coupled chips begin to roll behind them. Kevin attempts to lose them and performs an evasive move that causes one of the spheres to strike the wall, but it quickly repairs itself and pursues them once again. When this fails, Kevin decides to try to outrun them by going fast. He switches on his Dodge's turbo mode, but the Matacorns are still following him. Lacking any other choices, Kevin visits a work site and uses the fact that they are the only ones there to drive over the spheres. However, this ultimately leads to the automobile flipping over and collapsing. The two survive the crash practically unharmed and begin searching for the much larger sphere that emerges on top of a viaduct, preparing to smash them below. When Ben leaps off his motorbike to assist, he transforms into the shape of a humungusaur in midair, while Kevin prepares for fight and turns his body into stone. Ben, who has already undergone an alien transformation, charges the sphere and knocks it out with a blow, but the chips regroup and convert into circles that begin shooting laser bursts at him. The humungusaur can withstand the projectile files because of his armored skin, and he even succeeds in shattering some of them. However, the Insectronics are not so easily defeated and start to assemble around Ben, creating a barrier that keeps him from escaping. Ben is forced to seize Kevin's automobile and use it as a baseball bat to beat the insects when the humungusaur manages to escape from the semi-sphere of insects, which reassemble and transform into a type of crazed robotic anaconda. Ben assumes his human form after the situation has calmed down and instructs the others in what to do. Kevin and Gwen believe Elena is guiding Ben toward the nanochips while endangering him. Ben says they must stay with her because he trusts her and she is in too much danger on her alone, and decides that the best course of action is to bring a fresh sample to the lab for examination. The group brings Elena to Grandpa Max's room, where he is reading the news about the Insectronics that are proliferating all over the globe. The plumber's leader chooses to study the new sample as soon as he hears what his grandkids have to say and learns that they are only alien accoutrements. After the analysis is finished, Max chooses to replace the specimen in the jar, but he unintentionally allows one of them to escape. The gang starts to consider how to deal with them all at once without spotting the fugitive approaching the table from all sides. Ben recalls hearing the infected mention a queen. In such instance, all they need to do is get rid of the insect colony's leader, and the colony as a whole will perish since no new members will be created. Everyone gathers in front of the computer with the challenging task of locating the queen, and makes every effort to locate her. However, in their enthusiasm, they are all oblivious to the escaping bug as it creeps up Max's arm. Ben goes to contact his grandpa for assistance a few hours later and finds him already afflicted and attempting to hurl a monitor at Ben's head. The rest of the gang responds when they hear the screaming, and Kevin ends the situation by striking Max in the head. However, they ultimately get preoccupied, and the plumber's commander turns on the smoke machine, which obstructs everyone's eyesight and enables him to escape down the tunnels unhindered. Ben is able to maintain his composure and recall the plan to overthrow the Queen, while everyone else is at a loss without Max's presence. They must return to the computer, however, since they are still unsure of her whereabouts. The team starts to look at the map of where the insects are gathered and finds that the majority of them are in sizable metropolises until they find her at headquarters. But unlike the others, a strangely sizable group is centered in a little Missouri town. Ben concludes that the Queen is operating from there after Gwen further investigates the location and learns that it is the ship at headquarters. Kevin makes the decision to bring Ben's birthday gift forward and shows him the vehicle he was creating since their car has been wrecked and they need to find a means to travel to the scene. The Omnitrix bearer travels across Missouri in the new automobile before arriving at the ship at headquarters, where they see a significant infected movement. The gang enters the building after seeing Grandpa Max conversing with another infected, which serves as assurance that they are at the correct location. However, as they are unable to assist him, they continue on till they come upon a large assembly line. Kevin, who is in the middle of everything, sees Victor and knows that he was the one in the warehouse during the chip deal, turning everyone against Elena and making them believe her father was behind it all along. The girl attempts to explain herself by claiming she was ignorant and speculating that he is infected, which would make perfect sense, given that he is behaving precisely like Max. Even still, Kevin doubts her innocence and charges her with betraying her country. Ben, however, stands up for her as always and is able to persuade the others to give the girl another opportunity. After everything is resolved, Ben returns to his analysis of Victor and discovers that he is really the Queen, as shown by the fact that he is laying eggs. Knowing this, Kevin urges them to kill Victor, but Elena begs them not to, which prompts Ben to recall his pledge to rescue him, even though he is unsure if it would succeed. The owner of the Omnitrix makes the decision to become Alien X and put a permanent end to everything. However, Gwen contends that this is exceedingly hazardous since it would spell the end for mankind if someone this strong becomes infected with the insects. Elena is eventually found by one of the infected as the gang deliberates what to do. The infected takes Elena from behind and notifies the whole swarm to the intruder's presence. Ben doesn't have time to consider his options, so he chooses an alien and decides to use the Omnitrix nevertheless. But because to the insect sex's meddling, he ultimately shrinks to the point of becoming the Nanomech, an extraterrestrial hybrid that is created by fusing a human with a nanochip the size of an ant. Then flies to Victor and shrinks even more, until he is small enough to fit into the villain's nose, allowing him to hear the voice of the Queen. Nanomech flies to the Queen and starts to combat the colony leader as soon as he enters the villain's system, while his buddies divert the outside infected while trying their best to recruit him. The female resolves to finally wipe all mankind after being rejected, and she attempts to trigger the chips to start her apocalypse. However, Nanomech is able to release one more burst of energy that completely destroys the Queen's body before she can. All the infected revert to their original states as a result, and the chips self-destruct. Victor is now able to manage his own body once more, and Ben is able to escape him at last. Grandpa Max congratulates his grandkids on the mission's success and extends his apology to his old colleague for not having trusted him. Meanwhile, Ben declines Max's offer to head the plumbers, stating it's not time to retire just yet. Max thus stays in his current role. The story concludes with Victor and Elena joining the plumbers team with the goal of defending Earth from extraterrestrial dangers in the future.